Over 4% of people who develop kidney problems on GLP-1 medications, they don't survive. That's not a hyperbole here. This is a matter of fact. And it's not because the medication is dangerous. It's because something completely preventable that most doctors don't even warn you about when they write the prescription. 12 things that you absolutely must avoid mixing with your GLP-1 medications. And here's what makes this list different than most of the do not mix videos that you're starting to see on YouTube. Most videos tell you what not to mix with Ozempic or Mounjaro, these lovely GLP-1 medications. But I'm going to tell you why through the lens of insulin resistance and metabolic health, because every item on this list either drives insulin resistance or worse, sabotages the metabolic healing that your medication is trying to create. Some will send you to the ER and some will stall your weight loss for months. And item number 9, that's the one that's creating thousands of unplanned pregnancies. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I lead the coaching department at a nationwide GLP-1 medical practice. I've lost my own 100 pounds using these same strategies and microdosing GLP-1s. And now I work with our medical practitioners, helping thousands of patients optimize their therapy while fixing the underlying insulin resistance. Let's start with the one sabotaging more people than you could possibly imagine. Number 1, under-eating and protein deficiencies. This one sabotages more GLP-1 patients than anything else, hands down. Research from Harvard and Mass General found that about 40% of the weight loss on semaglutide is lean mass. You see this right here? This is 1 pound of muscle, this is 1 pound of fat. That's a lot of weight that you're losing in the form of muscle. You don't want to lose muscle. Muscle is extremely important. Muscle, bone, density, it's metabolic tissue. The reason is simple. These medications suppress appetite so well that you're not even eating enough protein or calories to protect that muscle. Susan, a teacher who came to our clinic exhausted by second period, her food logs showed that she was eating about 40 grams of protein per day. She wasn't even hungry on the medication. Her hair was falling out in clumps. She couldn't focus on grading papers. Weight loss had stalled despite barely eating. The minimum protein target that we have our patients shoot for is about 1 gram per pound of target body weight. So if you're trying to weigh about 150 pounds, that's about 150 grams of protein, usually between 130 to 150 for most people. Not your current weight, target weight. A study showed that patients hitting this target with resistance training had 0 muscle loss. The control group lost over 3 pounds of muscle without adequate protein. You see, your appetite suppression is working, but you're accidentally creating metabolic damage that makes long-term weight management nearly impossible. You have to strategically force protein in using liquid protein, ground meats, and small frequent portions. You tell me you want to do that forever, it's gonna suck, trust me. Now, if you want me to break down my complete 4-part protein system for GLP-1 patients, including how to hit protein goals when you have 0 appetite, let me know in the comments. I've had a lot of requests from my last protein video, so if you want me to do another one, I'm happy to do that. Okay, number 2, alcohol in excess. Now here's where this gets really interesting from a safety standpoint. See, research shows that GLP-1 medications, they reduce alcohol consumption and cravings. We know that. A nationwide study found that 26% lower risk of alcohol-related events. You're naturally drinking less because these medications affect the same reward pathways driving alcohol cravings. But here's the problem. When your GLP-1 medication does its job, it slows down how fast your liver can process alcohol. The same amount produces higher blood alcohol levels. You're drinking less, but you're getting more intoxicated per drink. Add in delayed gastric emptying, and alcohol sits in your stomach longer before absorption, increasing nausea and unpredictable patterns. From an insulin resistance perspective, alcohol disrupts blood sugar control and can trigger hypoglycemia hours later with other diabetic medications. If you drink, understand your tolerance is lower, effects are stronger, and metabolic goals are going to become compromised. Moderation becomes even more critical here. Number 3 sends more people to the ER than almost anything: dehydration. Now, an FDA analysis found that 45% of GLP-1 patients who developed acute kidney injury, they required hospitalization, with over 4% fatality. This is preventable, guys. GLP-1s slow your digestive system, including thirst signals. They also act in the brain, and I think that's part of how the thirst signals are being reduced as well. You're not feeling it. You're not feeling as thirsty anymore. You had nausea and vomiting during those dose escalations, and you're losing fluids without replacing them, and electrolytes too. Now, the median time for kidney injury is usually about 63 days, about 2 months in. This is when people think they've figured out the medication. Now, here's the paradoxical situation. When properly hydrated, these medications clearly clearly demonstrate kidney protective effects. In fact, the meta-analysis found 18% reduction in major kidney events versus placebo. The medication protects your kidneys, but only if you're drinking enough. Minimum 64 ounces daily, but most patients, they do better around 80 to 100 ounces. Persistent nausea, vomiting, dark urine, or decreased urination. You have those symptoms, you contact your provider now. Ain't no joking around with this. Immediately, and consider holding your dose. Number 4 is hiding in the drinks that you think are helping. Now, if this protein deficiency, dehydration, and managing these interactions is making you realize that this is much more complex than just taking a medication, this is why we offer free discovery calls where you can speak to one of our patient advocates and they can assess your situation and help you understand what's actually happening metabolically speaking. You can either text the number on the screen or you can check out the link in the description. But first, number 4 is hiding in a nurse's diet and stalling her for 3 months. Okay, sugary drinks and hidden sugars. This is including the ones that you think are healthy. Sarah was a nurse. She was in our program, perfect diet on paper, hitting her protein, eating whole foods, tracking everything, right? She was really putting in the work. But weight loss stalled for about 3 months. She was drinking liquid IV twice daily for hydration. Each serving had 11 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. That's 22 grams daily that she didn't even realize she was getting. A randomized controlled trial showed 10 weeks of a sugar-rich diet significantly increased sugar and insulin levels and ultimately triglycerides compared to artificially sweetened drinks. You see, your GLP-1 is improving insulin signaling, but every sugar spike creates an insulin response that blocks fat burning for hours. Here's what makes liquid sugar especially dangerous. See, it bypasses your natural satiety signals, and it creates an insulin spike without the fiber buffer that you'd get from whole food. Your GLP-1 is trying to improve your insulin signaling, but these hidden sugars, they're spiking insulin for hours. Talk about sports drinks, fruit juices, sweet teas, flavored coffees, even healthy electrolyte solutions. Read the label, look for corn syrup, maltodextrin is a commonly hidden one, and any added sugar. Basically any carbohydrate in a drink, you want to have 0. Sarah switched to sugar-free options and water. Weight loss resumed within a couple weeks. Okay, number 5 is about food type, not just calories. Now, if this hidden sugar connection is making you realize about how many small things can sabotage your GLP-1 results, hit that subscribe button right now because we put out 4 videos per week on metabolic optimization strategies, just like this, getting into the peptides and the GLP-1s, and it also helps with the channel big time, so hit that button now and turn on the bell. And speaking of hidden sabotages, number 5 connects directly to what you're eating. Ultra-processed and fried and inflammatory foods. Now, I need to clarify something about dietary fat, because some people knock that in the GLP-1 world. I do a heavy animal-based diet, and we promote this to our patients in most cases when it makes sense for them. We're eating plenty of fat from whole sources, fatty red meats, whole eggs, butter, avocados. That's not the problem. The problem, in our opinion, is industrial seed oils, deep-fried foods, which are full and loaded with transitional fats, and ultra-processed products with unpronounceable ingredient lists. An NIH randomized trial had people eat ultra-processed foods ad libitum, right? As much as they felt comfortable at doing so. Even when matched for calories, sugar, and fat, and fiber with the whole foods, the ultra-processed group consumed an extra 508 calories per day and gained almost a kilogram in 14 days. Something intrinsic to ultra-processed foods drives overconsumption. Think about this for a second. Scientists are literally paid by big food companies to figure out how to make these foods as addictive as possible because they're competing with other big food companies. And they gotta make you purchase their food company over others. And they gotta bring the price down, which means quality is out the door. How cheap can I make this? How delicious can I make this? And your health is paying the price. Multiple reviews confirm that ultra-processed consumption links to fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, and insulin resistance. These foods promote inflammation through industrial oils and various additives. Your GLP-1 is trying to reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity, but fried processed foods create inflammation that counteracts the medication. Stick to healthy fats from whole foods, animal-based, but you can also get down on some nuts and avocados too as well. Stay away from inflammatory fats from fryers and processed foods. These are the ones that are sabotaging your metabolic healing. Okay, number 6 is a surgical safety issue creating conflicting guidance. Surgery and anesthesia without proper timing. Dangerous and confusion from conflicting advice. A 2024 meta-analysis found that GLP-1 meds increased residual gastric contents over 6 times versus controls. The food sits in your stomach way longer. Under anesthesia with a full stomach, you risk aspiration. Stomach contents getting into lungs, causing aspiration pneumonia. Some anesthesiologists say hold 7 days before surgeries, others say 5 weeks. I think they're trying to figure this shit out. They don't even know. But a couple weeks, right? The 2024 multi-society guidance says daily formulations hold day of surgery. Weekly formulations hold 1 week prior. A meta-analysis of over 184 patients found that GLP-1 exposure wasn't significantly associated with actual aspiration events. Increased stomach contents are there, but real-world aspiration rates aren't dramatically different. Still, potential consequences warrant for us to be a little precautionary about this, like let's be safe. You must tell your surgical team and anesthesiologist if you're on GLP-1 meds. Don't skip out on this. Don't think, he doesn't need to know, I'll just slip by because I don't want to stop my weight loss. That is freaking stupid. Don't you do it. Don't be freaking stupid about this. Communicate to the docs. They may use an ultrasound to check gastric contents. Make sure you report any nausea, vomiting, or GI symptoms leading up to the surgery immediately. Now, if you want me to make a complete video on safely preparing for a surgery, on GLP-1s, the exact timing, what to tell doctors, medication scheduling, let me know in the comments if that would be helpful to you. Number 7 is about medication interactions. You see, other diabetic medications without adjustment can be a huge issue. GLP-1s lower blood sugar by making your body release more insulin. Now, this only happens when blood sugar rises. The way the medication works is it's not going to take your blood sugar, like insulin, from a healthy level to a dangerously low level. But that's in isolation. If you're on other medications like sulfonylureas, glipizide, you have a higher hypoglycemia risk, low blood sugar risk. A meta-analysis showed that sulfonylureas combined with GLP-1s created the most significant low blood sugar risk. Metformin with GLP-1s is generally safe with minimal low blood sugar risk. That combination is recommended in the guidelines. But insulin with GLP-1s reduces insulin requirements by sometimes almost 3 units, with slight hypo risks if doses aren't adjusted. Now, professional supervision matters. Your doctor needs to be proactive in reducing certain medications when you start your GLP-1s. So if you're starting this on your own because you don't have a doctor and you have diabetes and you're on these medications, freaking be careful and go find a doctor. You can reach out to us because we service all 50 states. Monitor your blood sugar levels, especially during these first couple weeks. But if you're a diabetic, you should be monitoring all the time. Okay, number 8 is a lifestyle factor, and this one can sabotage everything. Poor sleep. See, this destroys more GLP-1 outcomes than people realize. Lisa, one of our patients, runs her own business, working 16-hour days, sleeping 4 to 5 hours a day. Protein is on point, resistance training was there, clean diet, but her weight loss stalled. She wasn't losing anything. Studies confirm that 4 to 5 nights of sleep restriction makes your muscles and fat cells stop responding to insulin properly. Your body becomes less responsive to insulin. Cortisol levels elevate, and metabolic systems shift to a stress state. Sleep loss increases ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, and it decreases leptin, which is going to essentially communicate fullness, both of which are not a good situation. Even with GLP-1 suppressing appetite, you're fighting hormonal signals that are driving hunger and fat storage. A trial showed clamping cortisol during sleep restriction actually prevented insulin resistance. That proves the mechanism. Poor sleep drives cortisol, cortisol drives insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is what your GLP-1 medications are trying to fix, among many other things. The recommendation is 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. This isn't optional. This is metabolic medicine. Number 9 is the one creating thousands of unplanned pregnancies. This is wild. Birth control pills without a backup method. See, this created the whole Ozempic babies phenomenon. If you remember, there was a bunch of social media craze about that. What everybody assumes, delayed gastric emptying from GLP-1s affects oral medication absorption, right? So birth control pills, they don't work properly. Thousands of women got pregnant on GLP-1s while taking birth control. So the medication must be blocking the contraceptive absorption. But here's where it gets complicated and why which medication you're on matters. For semaglutide, that's Ozempic or Wegozy, studies tracking how the pill moves through your body show that birth control absorption is maintained. Total drug exposure stays the same. The timing shifts slightly, but the pill still works. But for tirzepatide, that's Mounjaro and Zepbound, we see a different pattern in clinical practice. Delayed gastric emptying reduces peak concentrations of the medications by about 20%. That's enough to compromise effectiveness. If you're on Mounjaro, Zepbound, tirzepatide, you need backup contraception. Condoms, IUDs, implants, or rings, especially for 4 weeks after starting and after every dose increase. Now here's the second mechanism that applies to both medications. Weight loss restores fertility, especially when you do it right with lifestyle interventions and you're improving your metabolic health. We see patients who haven't ovulated in years suddenly start ovulating because insulin resistance is reversing. PCOS symptoms improve. Hormonal dysfunction that was preventing pregnancy, that improves and sometimes gets fixed. So even if the medication isn't blocking your birth control mechanically, your body may be more fertile than it's been in a decade. The bottom line here is simple. If you're on Mounjaro or Zepbound, use a backup method as a requirement. And if you're on Ozempic or Wegozy, understand that your fertility might be improved. Don't rely on a past infertility diagnosis. Okay, number 10 connects back to sleep. Chronic stress and elevated cortisol. Remember Lisa from number 8? Her cortisol test showed massive spikes at 11 p.m. when she should have been winding down. Cortisol should be low at that time of the 24-hour period. Chronic hypercortisolemia, aka chronically elevated cortisol levels, it disrupts your metabolic balance, leading to insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. Cortisol promotes visceral fat storage. That's the fat around your organs. It increases liver glucose production. It creates the extra insulin resistance that your GLP-1s are trying to fix. Stress management isn't optional. Exercise, sleep optimization, meditation, counseling when needed. These are metabolic interventions. Number 11 is about supplement interactions. Understand that over-the-counter supplements and medication timing, delayed gastric emptying affects when medications get absorbed, but total absorption generally stays the same for most supplements. Timing-dependent medications, thyroid meds, pain relievers, sleep aids, they may need adjustments. We often have patients take these 30 to 60 minutes before their GLP-1 dose. General vitamins and minerals absorb fine, just more slowly. Tell your provider about everything you take, especially medications, where exact timing really matters. Now, finally, number 12 is about where you're getting your medication. Shady or unverified medication sources. A 2025 analysis found that compounded GLP-1 products from research vendors, this is the whole online, you don't need a doctor's prescription for research chemicals, showed 2.35 times higher hospitalization risk versus higher quality 503A sources. Preparation errors were almost 40 times more common. Contamination risks were 19 times higher. Only obtain GLP-1s from a verified, legitimate compounding pharmacy. Either get the real stuff from Novo Nordisk or Eli Lilly, because they are dropping their prices, or work with a high-quality compounding pharmacy from your local clinic who's actually verifying and the physician is overseeing your program. Okay, those are the 12 things that you should never mix with your Ozempic or Mounjaro. Here's what ties all 12 together. Every one either drives insulin resistance worse or sabotages metabolic healing that your GLP-1 is trying to create. Undereating, excess alcohol, dehydration, excess sugar, processed foods, poor sleep, chronic stress, they all feed the same root issue. This isn't simple. This is why people plateau. This is why professional guidance matters. I got a question. Which of the 12 things surprised you the most? Let me know on the bottom which one is impacting you. I want to know what kind of gap exists out there in the GLP-1 world. Now, if you want some help navigating this complexity, if you're realizing that optimizing protein with zero appetite, managing medication interactions, timing surgery, or figuring out if your plateau is from hidden sugars or poor sleep or elevated cortisol, that's exactly what our discovery calls are for. You can either text the number on the screen or you can check out the link in the description and connect with one of our patient advocates. They're going to walk through your health history, what protocols you've tried, what's working and what's not, and your long-term goals so that we can design the right approach together. You'll get a feel for what it's like to work with me, my coaches, my medical team. They're going to review programs and pricing so that you can see what long-term success with our support actually looks like. Now, I'm a big advocate of nutrition. So if you haven't already seen this video right here, these are the 20 groceries that I think every GLP-1 user should have stocked in their fridge right now. So check out that video right there, guys, and we'll see you later.